I was very curious. I love trees and I love the imagery on your book with the tree and the roots. And I just love to get your, like, what's that about? What does it mean to you, that imagery?
Yeah, this is kind of where the obsession came from of this concept of a factory for good. The analogy is like, let's say you're in your 20s, they wake up every day and they go to their factory, right? Not a literal factory for everyone, but basically you wake up and you have to go to work. And what you're trying to produce is ultimately money so you can provide for your family and for yourself and shelter and food and all the things. But as you continue to produce that factory and money, at some point, you might get to a spot where money doesn't need to be your sole focus of what you're trying to produce, but money can actually now become an input at the beginning of your factory. And so now you have your time, your energy, your resources, or your money to create a new factory with a different output. And I want it to be a very proactive thought process of, well, what are you trying to produce? What is the good you're going to put into this world? And what does that look like? So with that analogy, the reason you have the tree roots is I think when I look back at my grandfather and the difference between him and my great grandfather was a lot of their priorities in terms of their relationships and the connections and some of the things that really matter were lost because I feel like he kept continuing to make money in his factory and he didn't fully retool it to do good. And what I feel like I realized, and I could be wrong, right? I'm not here to say I know the exact answer, but having seen it and talked about it a lot, if someone who's been lucky enough and smart enough and whatever enough to create wealth or any level of that doesn't just go into a land of consumption and sit on a beach or retire somewhere and sit in a lawn chair, but they can continue to create, the impact it will have on their own personal family tree from their kids and their kids' kids and their kids' kids' kids that will think about them like we do my great-grandfather, that impact is gigantic and impactful and something that I take very personally and I think it's very important. I make decisions about what my great-grandfather stood for 60 years ago. They impact me today because of what he represented. So one. And two, if you can get people that have that type of skill and intelligence and resources to put good out into the world, then it's going to be so much better for the world at large, which ultimately impacts their family and it makes it just a win-win-win scenario. So that's why the golden tree impacts so much below and so much after. It's not just about the tree and the money and the consumption. There's a lot more to it.